This past weekend, President Trump attended the G7 meeting in Canada. He left early to attend the summit with Kim Jong-un, and it was clear that leaders and members of the G7 were not happy. The G7 has a long history. The group at one time had Russia as part of it and was called the G8. However, Russia was kicked out of the group after it annexed the Crimea and then supported the pro-Russians in Ukraine. Russia was disinvited in 2014. President Trump said this week that Russia should be part of the G7. Whether you like it or not, and it may not be politically correct, but we have a world to run, Trump said. And in the G7, which used to be the G8, they threw Russia out. They should let Russia come back in because we should have Russia at the negotiating table. He may be right about Russia, but why not China? Before he left for the summit in Canada, Trump said to reporters that he had been Russia's worst nightmare, but argued the country should be part of the economic talks. With that being said, Russia should be in this meeting, he said. Why are we having a meeting without Russia being in the meeting? The G7 is a group of countries that have the leaders meeting once a year. The G7 is made up of large economies. It was organized in response to the 1973 world oil crisis. Russia formally joined in 1998. In 2017, the world's four largest economies were the United States, China, Japan and Germany. The G7 is supposed to focus on economic and political challenges while the G20 focuses on important global issues. In a statement issued by 6 of the 7 countries at the G7, they said that together they were a larger economic powerhouse than the United States. Issues that have been tackled in the recent past include transparency and corruption, taxes, food security and nutrition, as well as jobs and employment. According to press reports, the G7 countries represent 62% of the global net wealth, $280 trillion. It is interesting to note the papers are filled with a new documentary about Mr. Rogers and his "Won't You Be My Neighbor" theme. Mr. Rogers was an ordained minister, and reports are he chose the neighbor theme based on the teachings of Jesus. In reaching out to the Christian right in the U.S., President Trump is forgetting that being part of the G7 is also being neighborly. Putting tariffs on steel and aluminum is not the neighborly thing to do. Some of the press has dubbed it G6+1. The point of the G7 is to try and fix the world's problems. That is why it was begun by the United States way back when. The EU, which was also invited to the meeting, might have a big trade surplus with the United States, but it is made up of many neighboring countries. It is not a single trading partner with America. Donald Trump's style is to go it alone. In our small world, which has been made smaller with the internet and cell phones, we can't afford to go it alone. The world had too many challenges, and one of them is climate change. Going it alone is an old concept. It is not neighborly, and means America is out of touch with how the world exists in the 21st century. It was not helped by 2 of President Trump's communications when he left the meeting. The president told reporters, "They have no choice. I'll be honest with you, they have no choice. We are going to fix that situation. And if it's not fixed, then we are not going to deal with these countries." Then President Trump tweeted, based on Justin's false statements at his news conference, and the fact that Canada is charging massive tariffs to our U.S. farmers, workers and companies, I have instructed our U.S. reps not to endorse the communique as we look at tariffs on automobiles flooding the U.S. market. This tweet is not how to get along with our neighbors and is not going to win America any friends, which is what the G7 is about. We can't go it alone. Mr. Rogers taught us that when we were growing up.